practice one we started off with somewhat of a big incident. Not in my run group. There were two run groups for the weekend, and another kid came over the uphill sideways and clipped the back left end of the tire wall, and it sent him kind of just rotating around. I didn't see the incident myself. I just heard from others. Kid walked away a-okay, just a little bruise on his right wrist. So that kind of ended his weekend per se due to extensive damage. It was about a week ago, and Austin, Kelly, and I were working out as far as Lime Rock Park, getting it down packed, seeing what we could do. Felt pretty comfortable with it, so it allowed me to get there and once again just be comfortable. And then our practice came along. We started picking up the track. It was cool. It was scary as heck again. Just getting comfortable, going down the downhill, going up the uphill, and the rest of the few corners. The next day rolls around. That'd be Friday morning, and we go ahead. We start qualifying. Beautiful day. We end up qualifying on the pole by, I want to say, 0.2 of a second. And we got really good people rolling with us this weekend. Leads us to race one. So drop of the green flag goes. Kelly and I worked on our starts, so I was actually watching the dude's elbow rather than waiting for the green flag to wave in my face like a big old candy bar. So got that part rolling down to turn one. And by the end of the first lap, I noticed that I had built up maybe a 3-car gap, 2 to 3. And at that point, it was the first time, it was the second time I ever led the first lap of the race, and which was interesting. So then you keep rolling, you try not to look in your mirrors too much, at least this is what's going on in my head. And I noticed that the gap's continuing to build slowly but surely. I'm not necessarily going crazy at the wheel. And it's still building. And then there came a time when I would come down the downhill, and since we didn't have in-car communications, they're not telling us what the gap is. I can only tell due to when I saw them last. And so I started noticing that I would get down the front straight, and I wouldn't even see them coming down the downhill, which is the final quarter preceding start-finish. And so at that point, I was starting to think about now, like, wow, this is kind of my race to lose. I've never been in this position. How do I drive? What do I do? So it was just the first time I had raced against myself. So staying just zoned in on what you had to do. And so that race, we ended up finishing first by, I want to say the gap was between 13 and 14 seconds. But, I mean, everyone was kind of real happy. I was thrilled. And, for the first time, I was back in pit lane before everybody even came back around. So I was having a heck of a time, and just ended the day strong. Right. Well, in previous times when I had been leading, it's only been two other times, but I started trying to reach for too much. I started like saying, okay, I want to accomplish this, this, and this, when objective numero uno was just to win the race at that point and not to put on any added pressure per se or more goals to achieve. And so going through that, I started just trying to manage what I was doing and stayed focused on the ultimate goal, and that was winning this race, not worrying about times, um, so on and so forth. And I ended up setting quicker laps when I stopped trying so hard, and towards the end of the race, that were my quicker laps. The interesting stuff really kicks off with race two, or with the second day. So we're Saturday morning. Since I'm in run group 2, everyone has already qualified and completed their race. And so now it is group two's time to go out to qualify. We go out qualifying again because of yesterday's results. I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. Even if I qualify in the second row, it'll be all right. We can manage. So confident, learning how to deal with confidence and when to apply it was interesting. Um, I want to say we go out for qualifying by the fifth lap. I was like 3 to 4 tenths quicker than everybody. So I had pole position at that moment. and we come back around, coming around West Bend, which is the second to final corner. It's a right-hand corner, and I heard something pop on the car. I wasn't 100% sure what it was. My mechanical knowledge isn't quite there yet, and so that is something that we learn from. Definitely know if you can equate sounds to parts, and you might have a better understanding and might want to slow down after you hear a loud pop. Um, so that being said, you get to the downhill portion. I get to the turn-in point. The car turns, and then I lose steering input, and it headed straight for the tire barriers. And right when that happened, I've never been in even on the street in a car accident before, let alone in a race car and at this speed. And so I want to say you're at least doing between 90 and 100 in our cars, um, around that corner. And so that I lose the steering input. I said, okay, I can't believe this is actually going to happen. Accepted that, went to the brake pedal for as long as I could, and then what popped in my head instantly was when Austin, and you'll remember this, when we were with Kelly talking about how Chase had his incident, and the things you shared with me too, Austin, along with Kelly, as far as what to do with the steering wheel, how to handle your body's state, as far as being relaxed or trying to become as relaxed as accepting as you could, and driving it almost to the end, or guess to the point of impact. And so that being said, I accepted I was going to hit the wall, and there was nothing I could do. And we were aimed for the tire barrier, which was a positive because the guardrail was just maybe 10 feet to the left. And at that point, it was just like, okay, here it comes. And I relaxed myself, took my hands off the wheel, brought them inward, and then I did close my eyes. I missed the best part, and I just smacked right into the tire barrier, went underneath it, so I had maybe 3 sets of the tire wall on top of me. And while it was sitting on top of me, I was waiting to start to feel pain, and I didn't feel anything. And so I'm like, okay, are you experiencing shock? Because I've never felt shock before, none of those things. And the more I sat there, I was like, okay, you're all right. I mean, my finger hurt a little bit, but I was like, okay, that's cool. Wiggle your toes. Things seem to be all right. And then I realized that the tire wall was pushing my face so far back that it was choking me. The strap on my chin was choking me. And so then I started to get a little panicky, and I was like, okay, you can't do that. So he goes, you won't be able to breathe, so stop that. Um, so that all being said, the corner workers and the personnel that help you, they ended up showing up and had to lift. They had to hook up a tow truck to the car and then use another tow truck to lift the set of tire barriers off of me. And and I hopped out and was just really taken back by the experience. And really, the biggest thing was couldn't have thanked Kelly and for real you, Austin, and for just helping me to understand even how to crash. I mean, I didn't think it would come, an incident like this would come that soon, and hopefully there aren't too many more to come. But knowing what to do was a game changer, and the right equipment was also definitely a part of that. In between me losing control and hitting the wall, it seemed like there was maybe a second. The first half of that second was accepting what was going to happen, and the second half was going through the entire conversation that Kelly, Austin, and I had, um, about Chase and his incident and what to do and what not to do. And I was like, okay, there it goes. And the mechanics at last evening, I got to spend a little time with them before everybody left. They ended up putting together a mechanics fund in order to get me a new helmet. And I was extremely taken back by the gesture, as you can imagine, and just couldn't be more thankful to make an impression on folks such as that, to where they feel that they could do something like that for me. They actually ended qualifying just after the incident, so I was on pole by 4 tenths, and they were just saying that tomorrow was going to be a rougher day than today. I felt pretty good all the way up until like midnight last night, and then it just started to feel more and more like I'd been in a car accident. And like that was it. Um, but we're good now. I appreciate you asking.
How you gentlemen doing? Going well, man. It's been an interesting couple 2 days here. It's been intense, guys. Like I said, this is the first time for us all, and Michai definitely relied on his training and his calmness, and the fact that he's trying to aspire to be something great. And had he not put all that together, we may not be sitting here having this conversation. So I want to thank everybody who brought my son to that point, and I can't thank you enough.
Hey, Mark, yeah, it's
Well,
it's it's good. You know, when I first heard when Makai told us about the accident, of course, that was the first thing was his welfare, and once again, I mean, I think it's testament to Makai and the upbringing that he had at your hands as far as for his whole outlook and attitude on life. Positive outlook, always willing to learn, never cocky, and we can see. I think this is more evidence of the result of that and how good things come from that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Kelly. And I'm just going to say that I give all that credit to Makai. I've been told I don't take enough credit, but when you have kids and you raise them to be young men, responsible young men, that's the greatest reward I can have. So, that's all the fathers out there, and all the kids growing up with fathers.
That's good, Mark. Thanks, man.
Hey, peace and love. Appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Hey, Mark, before you go, I just want to say I'm Austin's dad. Pleased to
Okay.
meet you. I just want to congratulate you. As I watched your son speaking, I couldn't help but feel how proud you are as a dad. The kid's really got it going on, man. And not often do I talk to a lot of young race car drivers, but I would have to say he's probably the most. I've been most impressed with him than any other young race car driver, and I've seen a lot of them with Austin being out. And you got to be proud, man. I don't know if you've seen the ones I've seen, but if you knew what I was talking about, probably bring tears to your eyes.
Hey, I'm choked up right now, guys. I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I couldn't agree with you more. And I've seen just enough to know that Makai has something special, and that we're gonna continue to work with it. We don't take anything for granted, whether it's this profession or just life in general. And again, what happened on the track was we knew it was gonna happen at some point, and we obviously didn't anticipate it. But I give thanks to God and to all of Makai's supporters for being there for him. And
Yeah,
thank you so much for that
yeah,
comment. Couldn't agree with you more, my man.
yeah. You got where you got more support now. I'm
Thank
very
you.
impressed.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep it up.
Hey, I don't know anything else. This is what I do, man.
I look forward
I
to
do.
meeting you one day too, man.
The pleasure would be all mine. Thank you.
Okay.
all right, Dad's exiting stage right, if y'all don't mind. But as a final comment, if I may, definitely, like Dad touched on, we appreciate the love shared. I mean, it, it just makes you warm inside. And I'll tell you from the bottom of my heart, I never expected to be receiving such care from other people in this sport, in this discipline, whatever you may refer to it as. It's just been a true treat. And what Dad and I try to do, as Kelly and Austin know, I mean, we just try and reflect upon anything that happens. Earlier in the day, while I was sitting in the car after I was under the tire barrier, I told myself, I said, okay, what are you going to learn from this? And I was sitting there and I couldn't really come up with what it was. Sometimes it hits me like a ton of bricks. Other times I wait and I was sitting there, okay, well, minus the on-track experience as far as what you could have done to maybe lessen the load of impact and so on and so forth. it wasn't until the end of the evening where it kind of smacked me. And it was like what this did was it brought everybody closer together. And if I had to take a hit for the team to bring everyone closer, I was cool with that. And I'm just glad that everything worked out. But the mechanics, people from Skip Barber, to show testament to Kelly and definitely Austin too sharing with me. Um, it was a beautiful thing through and through.